Game changers across the world, what's going on? This is Matthew with Anthony, and we're back here with a live. This is live right now.
Live.
Live. We're gonna do a reaction video with the inauguration. We're gonna talk about different subjects. You guys have probably been wondering, we had a rerun last week. Well, where have we been? Well, here's the thing. Can you guys notice anything different? I mean, we have like a brand new set right now. And
I love it.
Brand new chairs. So yeah, like come on now, give a shout out to Jacob, our producer. Shout out to God, Jesus providing as well.
No
but
doubt.
Obviously the ideas of our producers, Jacob and Sarah, like absolutely.
And you for also supporting. Thank you
Yes.
guys. Without your support, I mean, none of this is possible. We can't keep the train rolling.
Yes.
So we're just thankful for you guys as well.
Yes. And we need to like name this middle chair whenever we have it for like when people sit in there, because we brought it out today because we're going to bring your sister on a little later in the broadcast. But we need to have like a special name, I think, guys, for like this middle chair. I don't know, like the hot seat or like the changer seat or something like that. I don't know.
The throne of judgment.
Yeah, something, something awesome. But yeah, so feel free. First of all, guys, if you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe wherever you're watching. We're live on GameChangers YouTube, which is PrimeTime GameChangers, GameChangers Facebook. We're live on those platforms. And then if you don't follow us on Instagram, you can connect to us there at PrimeTime GameChangers. Please give us a like, a follow, subscribe to our pages. We're also live on OVTV, which is mom and dad's network, onevoicetv.net, and then also live on One Voice Ministries, Hank and Brenda Kuhneman. And so please give us a like, comment, subscribe. We want to hear your comments today. We're going to actually acknowledge a few comments today. Our producers are going to help us with that. Also, I'll have my phone up where I'm looking at some comments as well and make sure I can try to acknowledge those. Go to our website as well, the PrimeTime Game Changers website, Pastor Anthony.
PrimetimeGameChangers.com. You can check us out. We're actually going to be revamping that a little bit as well. Right now, we've got some blogs that we put out there. We've also have, some different things like we're going to have coming up, like our merch site. We're also going to be talking about probably including some events. So in-person events, if you happen to be in the area or if you're traveling in town, you can check us out. We'll have that information on there. But Matt, we forgot to include one other place that we're getting ready to be streaming. And so we want to give a shout out to our guys, Robbie and Matt Potter as well. Robbie Schwartz, Matt Potter, the fellows at pray.com. We're about to be on there very soon.
Yes.
So stoked to be on that online community. They are just blowing up, man.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that. And so all those people out there that, if you have the pray.com app or don't have it yet, this is a perfect time to download it. But if you have it, we're excited. We're in the works right now. We've already got all the contract stuff worked out. Now they're just getting our channel ready and launched, and that's going to be launched here in February coming up. Also, we are excited. We're going to be down in Dallas at the Gaylord Hotel for NRB. So if you want to come personally meet us, We're going to be down there doing some live shows, some meet and greets, different things like that. I know Victory Channel is going to be down there. Pray.com is going to be down there. Mom and Dad are going to be down there. So we're excited. We're going to have our booth down there for Primetime Game Changers.
I even heard Fox News is
Fox News. Yeah, they're going to be down there. So this is a big event. And actually last year in Nashville, President Trump spoke at it last year, but this year it's over in Dallas. So if you're in that area, please come out, say hello. We would love to meet you, shake your hand. And we're really excited, but we're going to have gift bags and things like that over there as well to give people with some Game Changers themed stuff. So really excited about that. But Anthony, I am excited about today's broadcast, man. It has been a crazy, exciting week of celebration. And guys, we have finally made it. And
Mama, we made it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you remember like back in the day when you used to watch just like marathons of TV shows, like that one TV show, like whether it was Leave It to Beaver or
Family Matters.
Yeah, just something. You just like binge watched it. Sanford and Son, right?
Yeah.
Okay, something like that. That's how I felt watching the inauguration. It's like, and I'll even be honest, I went over to Mom and Dad's house that night, and there were a few times that honestly, like we went over later that night to watch the national championship. I went over to their house, the Ohio State Notre Dame game. And there were times that honestly, we were just flipping it back to the inauguration, because how amazing was it that like President Trump was signing executive orders and taking questions while the Natty was on, while the national championship was on. This guy is literally like, I'm just challenging mega, like, or, worldwide TV, like at this point. And I think more people were watching that than they were the national championship.
Yeah.
That's what was so funny about it. I mean, I can't tell you, like, there was at least, I can't remember what quarter, but like we missed almost an entire quarter of the game because we were just so glued to inauguration stuff.
Well, it's one of those things where we actually have a person in office who can speak intelligently.
Yes.
Right? They can actually articulate what is happening, what their agenda is, what their policy is. And to actually hear just President Trump's take on the last 4 years, I thought was really interesting as well. But that whole hour where he was signing all those executive orders and he was just casually talking to the news, it was so refreshing to me to be able to hear not just this, what do they call it, the politician speak, where everything is kind of filtered. It always has an angle. This man was just talking like it was you talking to me right now on camera. And they're like, hey, what are your thoughts on Biden? And he's like, well, that pardon doesn't look good. He's like, it makes him look guilty. I think it makes him look guilty. And when's the last time you've had someone be that honest, in the Oval Office? And I
agree.
And I think it's part of what we had talked about earlier this week about what God wants to do. There's a spirit of truth that's coming.
Yeah.
But there's also coming transparency and accountability, which is being brought, as some of the headlines we're going to show. I mean, there's a lot of people that I think should be kind of worrisome.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of headlines, we got to show this one. I don't know if they have it yet. This really funny meme that I saw with Melania Trump. I don't know if they could put this up yet, but it was pretty hilarious. If not, we can get to it later in the broadcast. But what stood out to you the most, I think, on that day for you? I know for me, I loved how he kept mentioning God. That was the one thing that really just stuck out to me, was how much he mentioned the Lord. And I love watching the left just get upset, man, the whole time. I mean, dude, they did not stand up one time except when he mentioned the hostages. Did you notice that? Like, I made sure I made it my mission to like watch how much do they actually like stand up and give him a standing ovation or clap or things like that,
Well, would you stand up if you knew you were the one that was responsible for all of the issues that he said that he was going to fix? I wouldn't stand up and clap either. Like, those are my problems that he said he's going to fix now.
You had 4 years and didn't do nothing about it.
4 years. Well, that's because they were run by a shadow government. 100%. We know this is going to come out.
It is.
It was not Biden and Kamala running this. It was a shadow government that was running things.
Yeah.
And they intentionally, we've got to talk about this later when Terry comes on, because I want to get her take on this, because we've talked about this kind of off on the side a little bit. But Guys, you don't realize how close we were to the Constitution being suspended. That was their goal from day one, was to suspend the Constitution. We already saw it with J6, because they were going after your Fourth and your Eighth Amendments. Unreasonable search and seizure.
Yeah.
What they do to some of those people at J6, they just broke into their houses and then they arrested them. That's your Eighth Amendment, which would be cruel and unusual punishment and penalties. And so we have to realize how monumental Monday was, because we went from not having rights to our rights now being reasserted, but also reprioritized above all else, which is what should have been from day one. And for me, one of those moments, there were a lot of awesome moments, but I just love the part when he started off his message saying, we have now entered into the golden age. And I got chills, because your dad prophesied this for the last specifically talking about the golden age, probably the last 3 years. But we know this has been a 20-year story.
Yeah.
But there was one prophecy he gave on March where he literally started out by saying, America is entering into the golden age. Spirit of the Lord says America is entering into the golden age. And what does Trump say in his very first sentence? America has entered into its golden age. So for me, it was confirmation, it was fulfillment, but also there was like just this renewed sense of, let's go.
I agree.
America's back.
Yeah, 100%. And like, Trump said it on Hannity the last couple nights when that interview that Hannity was showing, and really about, you've seen all this stuff going on in the country, and it's like, you have to think, like, why has it got like this? There's no other reason than, like, they have to hate this country.
They do. Yes.
It's literally that simple.
It is that. That's
because
the truth.
if you were wanting to fix something, you would have done it. Okay.
Correct.
And you're giving money to our enemies. Okay. Let's talk about Iran. Which Trump said, I mean, he's going to go pretty big on Iran.
Yeah.
Exactly. There were no wars under Trump. Let's think about this.
Right.
We were in 3 massive wars in the world during this Biden administration.
Yep.
And I think this is where, for Trump's presidency, I think you're going to see a very successful presidency because of 3 things. One, he's going to fix all these wars. He's going to fix the border problem, and he's going to fix the inflation problem.
Amen.
Okay. Because at the end of the day, America is going to vote on things that protect the country, which is the border, and they're going to vote their wallets. Okay. They really are.
You're right.
They're going to vote their wallets. They're going to vote what helps keep food on the table. Well, President Trump had incredible success in lowering the gas prices. Okay. There was no inflation. The stock market was booming with President Trump. Okay. And so those 3 things alone, with the border, the financial stuff, economy, and then the wars, going on with, obviously, the Zelensky Putin thing with Ukraine and Russia, you got Israel, Hamas, all these different things. And Trump's going to fix all that. Plus, we can't even forget the stuff he's brought up with FEMA. Okay. And, North Carolina is his first stop. He's actually stopping in North Carolina today. He said he's doing North Carolina as his first stop, and then he's going to California.
Dude, as soon as you said FEMA, my blood started to boil.
Yeah.
Because I was telling you about this book I've been reading. But I want to talk really quick before we get to the FEMA part, because we need to talk about that. Yeah. You're right, though. Why else would we have these situations, these crises? Why would we have these disasters if it wasn't intentional?
Yes.
And I know people are like, that's conspiracy. No, it's not. What we have to understand is what the agenda of the hidden secret government has been, is to manufacture a disaster, manufacture a crisis. Why? Because it gets you closer and closer to instilling martial law, which Terry and I found out, she can talk about this more, that apparently we've been under martial law since the Civil War. That's a whole nother topic. But
heard the same stuff. Absolutely.
But what happens under martial law is there have been executive orders that have been pushed through. And I'm not saying Trump, but executive orders that have been pushed through that have given more powers to the executive branch. And it's not to the president. It's to these other federal agencies like FEMA who can go in and do as they please.
Mm-hmm.
They can go in and arrest you if they want because you're a patriot. They can go in and decide not to give you any kind of aid because you're a patriot. They can, or what they can do is they can say, oh, well, because there's this disaster, because there's this national security threat, we're going to go ahead and take care of the economy. We'll take control of the security.
Yep.
We'll take control of the media. So you don't have to worry about hearing this stuff. We're going to make sure that you're comforted.
Yep.
So people are trading their sense of comfortability, if that's a word, their sense of comfort and their sense of, well, I just want to put my head in the sand. I don't want to worry about it. And giving the power to these federal agencies.
Yeah.
And then the problem is with this is they keep making these disasters because the goal is to continue taking your rights away. Guys, this is one of the times right now with Trump being back in office, we have to realize that when I was reading this guy made an amazing point. He was like, freedom and independence in America is not about just being able to pay your mortgage. Freedom and independence in America is about being a responsible citizen, being in the know, knowing what your government is doing, knowing what your representatives that you voted for, at least I hope you went and voted, are doing, but also getting involved. We cannot allow ourselves to get back into a situation where we are fighting for our basic constitutional rights again. And I want to touch on FEMA real quick, because FEMA is one of those federal agencies. If you go back all the way to the 70s with Jimmy Carter, if you go back and look at George H.W. Bush, I hate to say it, even under Reagan, there were some executive orders that went through that gave FEMA all of this executive power. So what happens when you have a disaster like Hurricane Helene in North Carolina, or you have these man-made fires in California, let's just call it what it is. FEMA now has the executive authority to either give aid, not give aid, deny individuals and families certain amounts of aid. And guess what? They can come in and say, this is under federal property now. We're taking your land.
Wow.
Because we have fallen asleep as voters, as responsible American citizens, allowing the government to handle the things that we were supposed to handle to begin with.
That's the biggest blessing of the last 4 years, though, is the fact that what was asleep has now been awakened to truth. And that's finally, we can say this.
And that's why Trump is declassifying all these things. It's why he's making things transparent, because we need to see, again, how close we really were to losing all of our rights through some of these ridiculous executive orders, but also they call them national security decision directives. These are memorandums that the president doesn't have to see or sign. It could be the CIA. It could be the Justice Department. It could be someone else in the executive branch that can sign this memorandum. And then guess what? It doesn't go to the Senate Intelligence Committee. The president might not even know what's going on. So the CIA and FBI can just pass through these memorandums without the public's knowledge. And then you're wondering why so-and-so got arrested just on site. Because they put these things into law without any type of accountability, any type of checking, any type of balances. And so we're saying, well, how can they do this? Because they truly believe, Matt, they truly believe that what they're doing supersedes anything that the Constitution says.
100%. Yeah, you were talking about rights. I want to give a couple shout outs too. We got Jackie and Curtis Watson from Canada watching. Chloe from the Philippines is watching. Shout out to you. Let us know where you're watching. And JD from Indiana watching. Again, guys, we are live, so give us your comments. What did you guys feel about the inauguration? We want to hear from you guys as well, and shout that out. But we got to show. They said they got this meme ready too. We got to show this meme. This is hilarious. Check this out. The look you get when your husband is about to destroy the people that raided your underwear drawer. I mean, seriously, people forget about the Mar-a-Lago raid.
You put that back up?
Yes. Yeah. Put this back up. You got to see this. I mean, people forget about this. The look you get when your husband is about to destroy the people that raided your underwear drawer. I mean, honestly, I felt like Melania meant business too walking in there. There was something different about this inauguration than there was in his first term.
I agree.
It's like there was a celebration. There was almost a, I guess you could say, revenge. Like, hey, we're back and we're ready to make this country great again kind of look that was on him and Melania.
Absolutely.
And it was like, you know, when you look at like the first term, man, look how much, like, people always talk about it. The moment he went down the Escalade, you know,
Oh, the
or the
escalator. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
escalator, yeah, down the stairs, down the escalator, it was like you just knew that something was off. It was like he was in office, but he was already fighting all this stuff. They were trying to impeach him already. They were trying to do everything they could because guess
Right.
what? He did not bow down to the deep state.
Exactly.
So the moment from the escalator onto, you know, the 2020, you know, scamdemic and all that corruption and everything, it's like you mentioned the word, you know, America was asleep. They started to wake up. And that's where I think now it's like in 2025 now, we're seeing something totally different. It's like now it really feels like, not that he wasn't the president before, it just feels like now we can like really celebrate, you know? And it's like everything they tried on this dude did not work. They tried everything
And they tried
to take him out. They tried
kill
to
him.
assassinate him.
Like
Yes.
3 times.
Yes. And
dude, how great of a feeling do you think that is to walk up to the podium knowing there are people in the room who are part of the assassination plot? They still couldn't get you.
I mean, it's got to be about as savage or about as awesome as how Jesus felt when he ascended into heaven, just like, you know, or walked out the tomb, you know, it's like after 3 days, he's like, man, I got put on a cross. I died in front of all these people. They don't even know I'm alive right now. You know, they just see that a tomb was rolled away. I busted the devil down in hell as well. Took the keys of death, hell, and the grave. And guess what? Here I am. I'm back. You know, dude. It's like, I think Trump, honestly, man, you know who honestly had the most savage like persona about him?
Please say Barron.
Barron Trump, dude. Yes.
Barron
like,
Trump
dude,
is
when he walked up to Biden, bro, and then turned back around, I want to know what he said to him. You know, he shook his hand and then turns back around and gets a double take look at him. I'm like, Barron is awesome, dude.
He it's crazy, right? Because he has that same stoic personality as his mom.
Yes.
But he has the height too. So he's like an imposing figure. He's like what, 6'7"?
6'9".
Yeah, 6'9".
And President Trump is 6'3" or 6'4".
Yes.
So Barron's 6'9", and Melania is like 5'11".
Well, there you go. There's the height.
Yeah.
And to know how instrumental Barron was in getting his father reelected, because think about it. Barron is single-handedly saved TikTok.
Yeah.
Because what did Trump say? He's like, I love TikTok now. It's what got me votes.
Yeah.
And so you guys needed to thank Barron Trump if you are on TikTok.
And everybody like all over the internet is like wanting to know like, what does Barron Trump sound like? How does he talk? Like, he won't take interviews. You know this, right? And there was a leaked video that came out like, I think a few months ago of him shaking Dana White's hand, and he goes, "Hey, good to see you, sir. Thank you, sir." Something like that, and everyone like was freaking out, like, "Oh my gosh, we finally heard Barron Trump speak." But like this guy, like, I mean, everybody wants to know like about this Barron Trump, and I think the left is just downright terrified of him.
Yep,
they completely are. I mean, you know, think about it, because Trump's gonna have 4 years. Okay,
maybe 8.
Yeah.
Let's see how that plays out.
You know, there is that thought too. Then you got JD Vance that could easily have 8 after him. So think about it. If Barron's 19 right now, he 16 years before he could run, correct? You have to be 35. Yeah.
Yes.
So think about it. We could have a dynasty on the way, which has been spoken and prophesied by my father. Yes. So they can't, because it was said the name Trump again.
Yeah,
you know,
just when we've said we're sick of Trumps, we're gonna throw another one in your face.
Yeah, that's what God was speaking. Yeah,
but we also have to look at his perspective. Barron has witnessed what his father and his mother have had to go through for 4 years. You don't think this guy's just been studying what everyone's 100%. Moves? He's been calculating how they operate.
Yeah,
he knows the game.
Yeah,
and he's only 19.
Yeah,
they got to be terrified of this guy. They know he knows every single one of their moves. He knows how they operate. He watched
Yeah.
his dad and his
Yeah.
mom overcome it all. He's gonna be a savage.
Yeah.
You
He
talk about
already
being
is,
yeah,
and then, just alone getting his dad with Joe Rogan and
yeah.
then the whole TikTok thing. I mean, it's huge. And can you imagine? I don't think it's a matter of if. I think it's really going to be when Elon buys TikTok. That's going to go crazy. I think it's already like it's not if. I think it's a win.
Elon, can you just calm down though? Man, he's just kind of a weird dude sometimes.
Yeah, he's funny though. I
He
think he's
is funny,
hilarious.
but he's just so eccentric. And maybe that's what it is.
Well, yeah, they showed that video of him like really like hand clapping like crazy, and
I
then
know.
Bear's just next to him with just like a simple clap. It was the funniest thing in the world.
But
I was laughing so hard.
You compared him to what Soros does to the left with
100%.
financial backing. Elon is to what?
Yeah, I said this the
on the
other
right,
night.
yeah.
So okay, this is how cool God is, because RFK Jr., in my opinion, represents the Republican version now of Fraudchi or Fauci. Okay, where do this for your health, do this, this, and this, and it all turned out to be a giant lie. Which, why are you pardoning somebody before it's even gone to court or trial or anything?
You know, Biden didn't write that pardon.
That's what I'm saying. So
that was not him.
100%. Like you're pardoning somebody that's not completely yet been found guilty. There's something you're hiding. Okay. So I think RFK Jr. now represents not the corrupt version, but the good version of
Maha.
Yes. He represents the good version for the conservative Republican side. And then I think with Elon Musk, he represents like what George Soros was exactly to the liberal Democratic Party. And you have Elon Musk now and his money backing Trump, backing the Republican movement, backing conservatives. I mean, it's huge. Just alone, what he did with buying X completely changed all the censorship that we saw all those years. And now we don't really have to worry about all that. I mean, it was a website that truly like nobody wanted to get on that because it was so bad. I mean, Trump was like, I'm done with this. They banned him off of X, well, Twitter, when it was Twitter. And then now he's back on there. I mean, he still posts on Truth Social too, but like, it's just, I think they said too that X now is the #1 leading cause of news. Like right now, it's the leading source of news for people in the world today. Right, I believe it's X.
When we're pulling prophecies, that's where I usually go.
That's
to
what
look
I'm
up
saying.
Headlines.
Everybody goes to X. It's like the #1 source of like breaking news now is on X.
It's crazy, man.
So just Elon's influence in that alone changed a ton of stuff.
I agree.
And Barron working with him was huge, and obviously that got the youth vote as well. So, I think now you're seeing people start to wake up to this stuff, but
and not just I want to say this too, because there's been a lot of this talk and I'm sure you've seen it. Oh, we should probably bring on Terry, huh?
Yeah.
Terry, why don't you come on down?
Yeah, come on, Terry. Some of this stuff gets with subjects that you got to be in on.
She's got to be in on it.
Come here and
Terry,
say hello
welcome.
to the people.
Look at her hoodie. I'm digging this. USA.
I had to be patriotic. We got a lot of stuff going on. We got our country back.
Yes.
Seriously.
Gotta represent.
Yes. So one of the things I was going to get ready to talk about, maybe you can share your thoughts on this, is we're talking about a lot of people waking up, but there is a couple of different demographics that really woke up.
Right.
And sorry, not woke, awakened is what we're going, because we're not woke here. Black population.
That's right.
This is the only time I'm going to talk about identity, like from a color perspective. Black population, you had Latinos and Hispanics that swung big time towards conservatives. You also had young women and young men swing bigger. I think it's the biggest in a while towards conservative and Republican.
Yep.
What happened to DEI? I thought it was just so great. This great thing that was going to just be huge. It's going to be huge. It was going to change the world. So what happened?
people are seeing through the fakeness of what that was and
Yes.
understanding that the true racism that was taking place was those DEI programs and those different initiatives that they were trying to put forward. And speaking of DEI, so Trump, that was one of the first things he took out. I actually have an email. I think they just put it up. So one of my friends in the military sent this email to me, and essentially what it says, let me bring it because I can't read it. That is so tiny.
Yep.
But essentially what the email says is it's from the Air Force / Space Force, and it's them saying that they're going to already start. So they sent this email January 22nd. So 2 days after the inauguration, this email goes out, and it essentially says that they are going to be getting rid of all of their DEI programs. It says we're taking steps to close all agency DEIA offices and end all DEIA related contracts in accordance with President Trump's executive orders. And then further down, it talks about how these programs divided Americans by race, wasted taxpayer dollars, and resulted in shameful discrimination. This is in the email that was sent out.
Wow.
I'm like, are you 2 days? 2 days after the executive order was signed, they're already doing it.
They're saying the thing that everybody was thinking.
Yeah.
Right. You had such a massive push for these policies that, like you said, were actually inherently racist by nature. That's the ironic thing. People are saying Trump is being racist for pulling these. It's like, actually, by pulling these, it's actually removing the racism.
Exactly.
You can't, guys, just because it doesn't say no blacks allowed and it flips now to no whites allowed, that doesn't make it better. It doesn't fix it.
It's just as bad.
You just pointed it the other way. And so simply hiring people based off of what they look like is the definition of discrimination.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Even if it is in your favor, you're discriminating. Your job is discriminating against somebody else. And the fact that we've been pushing these policies based off of someone, I'm going to say this is kind of crass, but what someone does in the bedroom, that does not matter with how well you are able to do a job.
Right.
Yeah.
That should not even be discussed. Who cares?
It's so funny that you said that, because I watched if you guys haven't seen it, you should go watch the United States of Trump documentation that just came out a few nights ago. Bill O'Reilly, it's on YouTube. It's like a 41-minute broadcast. And he talks about it. He goes, this is another reason why Trump won. People were tired of, every question you ask Kamala, she diverts it to, I'm a middle-class woman. Yes. I was a middle-class woman. He's like, lady, we get it. Like, America understands now. You don't have to keep saying this. It was always her escape from every single question. And so 100% agree with you on what you're saying. Like, you cannot just get to the top by what and how much you've done in the bedroom. That's exactly,
what you did there.
So
you tied it all
I tied it all the way back to what you said, man. So at some point, if you do those kind of things, you're going to probably be around people that have the answers of, I'm a middle-class woman. That's a way to cover up all that she's done.
Wow.
Right.
And it's an escape. It's an escape tactic. You don't want to answer the question because A, you don't know the answer to the question, and B, you're covering up all of the corruption that you've done to get to that point of office.
Correct.
That's so right.
And let's talk about speaking of corruption, how much DEI, well, they're corrupt as well. DEI policies were taking away from corporate dollars. Yeah. People don't want to talk about this, but the reason why so many of your businesses were starting to fail or were having such terrible quarters in terms of revenue is because all of this money was going towards these worthless initiatives. And I know we're probably going to get blowback for saying that, but that's what they were. They were divisive in nature.
Right.
Yes.
And any business person knows that you cannot have 85 different initiatives.
Yeah.
Right.
And still try to make money. It's not fiscally responsible. So it's funny to me now that all of a sudden, all these major corporations, day one, were like, oh, we're ditching this.
Yeah.
Oh, why are they doing this? Because they weren't making money. That's why you paid $17 for a Big Mac. Like, how are we not seeing this?
Yeah.
And so now what you're going to see is, because of the DEI asterisk statue is what I'm calling it. It's the false idol, the false god. has now literally been kicked
100%,
to the
man.
curb, you're going to see a release of freedom economically that people are going to, a lot of people aren't going to admit it, but
Right.
they're going to start to say, they're going to say, oh, those social justice policies, those things that were enlarging the territory of the government and decreasing the territory of private business actually aren't a bad thing. That was not a good thing. Not a good thing at all.
Right.
Right. Because people should have the right to hire who they want to hire based off
It's
of that
true.
person's capability and merit.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with having 75 Black people, 3 women, and 5, I don't know, whatever else to make up your Job Corps. That is not what is going to bring diversity. And if we want to talk about diversity, why were they forcing people to look different but all think the same?
Right.
That is not diversity. I'm going to step off my platform there, but I just want to talk about that because you're saying, you know, Kamala Harris and Biden, they hid under this false sense of, like you said, of compassion.
Yes.
And what people need to realize is this was a detriment and this was going to be the demise of the nation. Thank God for patriots. Thank God for people like Rick Green. Thank God for people like your parents and other people who are like, okay, we're not putting up with this nonsense. That should be an inspiration to all of us as individual citizens. You may not have a platform, so to speak,
Right.
but you can certainly take your butt on down to town hall every week, every month, and be a voice for the children in education.
Yes.
Be a voice for your local municipality.
Right.
You can be a representative in so many different ways
Yes.
to help make sure that the people we elect are not getting power crazy.
That's
Right.
the other thing that
Yeah.
I also appreciate too about the last 4 years leading up to now is that the conservative Republican movement showed that we can have a voice without having to riot and be destructive.
Exactly.
We don't have to burn buildings. We don't have to murder people.
Dude.
We don't have to kill Black
Yes.
business owners
Yeah.
and then say, oh, Black lives matter. We don't have to, you know, abort Black babies and say Black lives matter. You know, and all in the same sentence, which you guys have addressed that many times.
Yes, we
Right.
have.
So I'm not speaking out of term here. And the thing is, that's what I love is that, you know, my brothers mentioned that, right? Why is it that it's always the left that seems to play dirty and fight unfair and fight with corruption attached to it? And so that's the other thing that I do appreciate about Trump. And that's why they hate Trump is because he fights with his brain, not with corruption. He doesn't bow down to the deep state. He doesn't bow down to George Soros money. He fights fair and honors the Constitution, which the left has, you said, tried to abolish. It's that simple. That's why they're after him. That's why they can't stand him. Right. And to be honest, I think that's why President Trump can't stand Joe Biden is because to him, I mean, even Bill O'Reilly said this. I watched it on the documentary. Is he thinks of Joe Biden as a loser, as a guy that just cannot speak for himself, that won't win. Trump wants to be around successful people.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trump wants to be around people that are going to make America great again. Okay. That's why here's the thing. Trump can go sit and have meetings with Putin, Zelensky, etc. Why? Because I can sit down and do things that make America great. I can have a conversation with somebody and do things that make our country great. And here's the thing. If you work with me on this, I have no problem talking to you or talking about you in a positive light. That's why there's been times he said good things about Zelensky or Putin. But if they don't follow what Trump wants for America, Trump's not going to play around with that.
Right.
And that's what makes him a great president.
Yes.
He puts America first.
Yep.
Biden would never even get in a room with those people and have a serious conversation or talk. How can we end this, you know, battle between Ukraine and Russia?
Yep.
Biden doesn't know what he's doing. And Kamala will just say, well, I'm a middle-class woman. Do you guys relate? Like, you know, that's probably what she like. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, Trump gets in and speaks facts and speaks ABC. This is what we're going to do. Okay. And that's why America voted for him. It's what I said. America's going to vote on their wallets.
Yeah.
Obviously, they don't want inflation anymore.
Right.
America's going to vote the protection of this country, the borders, which we've got to put that photo up too. Okay. Yeah. Can we put these of the border real quick? I want to show these on some of the executive orders that he signed, but also you guys know he sent 1,500 troops down to the
Yes.
border,
Yep.
1,500 troops. But watch this. President Trump has just signed an executive order designating drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. They can now be targeted with legal force by the U.S. military. This is huge.
Right.
Yeah,
Do you
this is
know-
a big thing.
Do you know why this is huge? Because the CIA has funded these drug cartels
100%.
for
have.
decades.
They
Yes.
And that's why they never did sanction them as foreign terrorists, because they were using them on their
Yes.
behalf
Right.
Yes.
to, as you know, Terry, to stage coups,
Right.
to destabilize certain regions and territories so they could install people that they needed to, that they knew would bow down to the New World Order. And that's why they were opening the border to America, because they knew they had installed a person, Joe Biden and Kamala, that would bow down to the
Right.
New
Yes.
World Order, so they could establish what it is they wanted to establish, which at the end of the day is totalitarian socialism.
Yes.
Yeah, they were being
Yes.
used as pawns, is really what the cartels are being used as.
Yeah.
And so the government, obviously, we can't say that we're using terrorist organizations as pawns. So that's why they try to keep that under
Yes.
the rug. And so
Yes.
that's why that's so
It is
big, because
huge.
now we can actually start to dismantle some of the things that they've been doing.
Yes. So JD from Indiana asks, what is your thoughts on the AI things being brought up?
Oh boy.
Yeah,
I
that's a
love it,
deep
man.
one.
Well,
So
JD, what's up, man? Actually, you should check out too. We actually had a podcast
Right.
several
Yes.
months back
Yes.
about AI. We've actually been talking about this for a year and a half before
Yes.
AI really hit
Yes.
mainstream. Here are my thoughts. In terms of engineering, right? When you're talking about building cars, manufacturing,
Yeah.
I do see where it would be beneficial, right? You've got some automated things without getting rid of all of the jobs, right?
Right. Yeah.
But I could see where that would be beneficial in terms of efficiency. That would be beneficial in terms of, maybe doing jobs that might be more dangerous for human effort. But my guess is JD is probably asking, we're starting to get into AI with some of the weird things they're starting to do in terms of these. I can't remember the name of the company, but they started putting faces on these AI robot things.
yeah.
And they look like people
Wow.
now that you could walk down the street, and it's getting to the point where you might not be able to recognize sometimes who's AI and who's not. You're on a slippery slope, in my opinion, because there is, it depends on what rabbit hole you go down with AI.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But there is some speculation that where they're getting this technology and the knowledge to build this is not exactly from the throne of God.
Yeah.
And if it was, they're using it for nefarious means.
Yes.
I think it'll be interesting to see what President Trump decides to do in terms of policy, legislation around it. I do think it's going to have to start to be regulated because
Right.
of what some of the things are that are happening. Because let's say, for example, I'm going to use a real world example. Investing.
Yeah.
So you've got the stock market. And let's say right now the stock market is very much involved from a electronic standpoint. So 97% of your trades, maybe 99% of your trades and the investments are made digitally within like not nanoseconds, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's say someone comes up with a script, algorithm, or some type of advanced technology like a firm, and they start leveraging AI to corner the market,
Yeah.
to start making trades, to start positioning themselves to where they start taking a share of the funds, of the profits. And it starts it becomes so cornered and so bad that now they're front running some of these events that are happening, which is already happening now. So let's say Google is getting ready to release earnings.
Right.
And there's always somebody that knows what's coming. But what if where does it end?
Yeah.
When you start having advanced robotic technology, and you start having advanced intelligence, instead of a person making these trades, now they're making these trades. They're learning the tendencies and the habits. I think it starts to become a bit unfair. And I think if we're not careful, with how AI is being used. If it ends up in the wrong hands, it can just be another means for someone to establish a totalitarian state.
Yeah, absolutely.
Earl says AI needs to be kept out of the evil one's hands. Totally
Yes.
agree.
Yeah.
We need to be praying against that for sure. You know, that, you know, the evil people in this world don't try to get their
Yes.
hands on this for some crazy means. You know what I'm saying?
And can
Yeah.
I say one last thing too?
Yeah.
AI is not the predictive text, right? So, you know, there's a lot
Right,
where
yeah,
people are
yeah.
saying like, oh, I put it in ChatGPT and it made out this story or this book for me.
Yes.
That is not their goal. Their goal is a replication of humans
Yes.
to be able to control, to be able to
100%.
cause humans to adapt.
Yep.
But it's under someone's control.
They're
Right.
trying to do it like a way of playing chess as opposed to we're all here playing
Yes.
checkers. They want to be 2 steps ahead, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what it's for.
So there's 2 different
Yes.
levels.
Yeah.
You've got the predictive thing that they're doing right now, where it's maybe you can write a book or you can write a symphony really, really fast. That's just the beginning.
Yeah.
Like Earl was saying, I think their goal is to develop another type of artificial intelligence human race that they can control and manipulate to do whatever they need to do.
100% agree. Yeah, we've got a lot of people
Wow.
watching right now. Reminder, guys, please like, comment, subscribe. Let us know where you're watching from. We want to take your questions, comments as well, reactions to the inauguration, whatever's on your heart. If you're on YouTube, you know, hey, go like us on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, go subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at PrimeTime GameChangers. That's the easiest way to find us on any platform. Check out our website, primetimegamechangers.com. But we've got a lot of people watching. We've got Joel from Nigeria. We've got Kitty watching from Canal, Winchester, Ohio. Hey, I've been to that area. It's a great area. And we've got so many different people watching. We've got Luke from Alaska tuning in right now.
Hey,
let us know, guys, your reactions.
Sorry, the Spirit of the Lord won't let me leave this AI thing. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, guys. I'm not trying to hijack. There's one thing, if we want to bring it back to scripture, that's what Pastor Hank always says.
Yeah.
Here's the issue with AI. Because I saw Jacob out of the corner of my eye and I thought about some of our conversations we've had. Here's the real issue with AI. We are spirit-filled people. It is the Spirit of God that gives us direction. It is the Spirit of God that gives us leading. It is the Spirit of God that gives us understanding. It is the Spirit of knowledge, the Spirit of wisdom, the Spirit of understanding that gives us the power and the direction and clarity needed to fulfill the assignments and purposes for the kingdom of God. When you start to circumvent that and you start to develop your own alternative, it says in the word that Jesus says, I am the sheep gate. I am also the shepherd. Anyone that tries to go around this is not of me. I view AI as that thing trying to go around the way.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be Holy Spirit led.
Right.
We are supposed to be Holy Spirit led, not
Yes.
artificially intelligence led.
Right.
And when you start to take away our ability to think critically, our ability to have logic and reasoning, our ability to make decisions because of some supercomputer, you are in effect finding another way to eliminate God. And that's what I felt the Holy Spirit
Very
wanted to say.
good way to
That's
say
a
that,
good
man. I
point.
love that. That is captivating. And I feel the same way. Terry, how do you feel on that? Because I really think, you know, it's so clear that we're supposed to be being Holy Spirit led. We walk by faith, not by sight.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, website. You know, think about it.
Yeah.
Sight with your eyes, but I'm
Right.
I'm putting my own
You're
spin
right,
on it
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
You know, we walk by faith. Faith in what? The Holy Spirit that's within us.
Right.
You know.
No, and I also think too, it just to piggyback off what you just said, I think it's also another way of people trying to play God.
Yes.
They're trying to be the ones that are creating, we're creating this whole separate race, this whole AI race now.
Remember how that
look
worked out last time?
look at what we created, look at what we can do in our own power and our own, you know.
Yes.
And so I think it also is kind of bleeding into that of like, well, we don't need God because look what we created, look what
gosh.
we can do. And so I think, like you said, it is such a slippery slope, and we've got to be so mindful of where they're
100%.
going.
Yes. Yeah. Teresa just commented and says Stargate, Watergate, God age, not golden age.
Ooh.
that it's time for the God age.
Yeah.
And I believe,
I see there.
yeah,
I see what you
yeah.
did.
yeah. So, you know, we've had all of these
Stargate.
Stargate,
Wow.
yeah.
That's
So
really good.
it is really good. So, you know, I think that's the thing is, you know, I agree so
That's
much
really
with
good.
Earl that, you know, could AI be used for good things? There are some possible good things that could come from it for sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, right? It's just I agree with him in the aspect of in the wrong hands,
Right.
there could be corruption attached to that, and probably would be. And that's what we've got to pray
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
that doesn't
pray.
happen.
Yes.
You know, so that's my big thing on that. But I want to talk a little bit about January 6th, guys,
Yeah, man.
and
Yeah.
some of this, you know, pardons and you know, can they put that one thing, that picture outside the Capitol building, with the guillotine? Yeah, if they could put that out. And check this out. It says breaking. There's currently a guillotine set up at an anti-Trump protest outside the Capitol building. This was on Inauguration Day, guys.
So sick.
How? My question is, I just want to know how this is allowed, and I don't know. I need to do some follow up on this because I want to know what happened to these people. Were they arrested for this? Like, how's this not treason? You know, this should be completely treason, but yet this is crickets, but the whole January 6th thing gets
Right.
more, you know, attention. Like, there's people actually like, I mean, I would think the majority of America is happy at the 1,500 pardons,
Right.
you know, but there are people in this country that are upset that people were pardoned at January 6th that just showed up there. There were people that just flew into DC and were put on the terrorist watch list because
crazy.
they were in DC. Okay. I know somebody who simply put her hand on a table and was accused. I think they
Right.
accused her of like being destructive and throwing a table and helping to take furniture out of the Capitol. Like, she put her hand on a table and they arrested her. The FBI raided her home. Like, she had her phone subpoenaed. Like, are you kidding me? But yet we can put guillotines outside the Capitol building, which is a direct threat of our president. Try that in another country. I would love to see if somebody put a guillotine in Moscow, Russia, indicating that they want to do that with Putin. I would love to see how far that goes. I would love that. Try that in North Korea, you know, and see what happens. Try that in Iran and see what happens. You know, I just, this is where I feel like, you know, I love that we have free speech, right? I do. We are a free speech country. You know, we obviously we've got to honor the Constitution in that. But this is the part where there is so much of this free speech thing that unfortunately people speak these kinds of treasonous acts. And there needs to be some justice served to this kind of stuff because I'm sorry, like, how in the world are you allowed to do that? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think, you know, it's been crickets regarding the January 6th, or I'm sorry, it's been crickets about this guillotine thing, but like everyone's talking about, oh, well, of course, Trump pardoned all these people. First of all, there were people who were even 80-year-old grandmothers thrown in jail.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Okay. There were people who had to wake up every day wondering if they themselves or one of their family members was going to see the sun ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Ever again. Whether you were 20 something years old or 80 something years old. Different ages. It didn't matter if male or female. They went after innocent people and completely were going to ruin their lives. So thank God that Trump got into office just for that alone.
Yes.
Right.
Because there were people who probably spent 4 years of their life first wondering if Trump was even going to announce his nomination to run again and hoping that he would. And then when he did announce it, number two, praying that he would get into office again and it not be another stolen election.
Right.
Every day for 4 years, these people had to wake up and try to live life, whether they were in jail or had a family member in jail, or they were not in jail, but had been accused at January 6th.
Yeah. Again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Guys, we were this close to having our Constitution suspended. They manufactured that whole event of J6 so that you could have your various departments like the FBI, the CIA, do what they did.
Right.
You suspend the Constitution. In their minds, it already was suspended because it was a national security threat. So then you can just go and arrest whoever.
Right.
You can go barge into whoever's home and confiscate whatever.
Yes.
And spin whatever narrative because it's the matter of national security interest. That's what they will say.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so it wasn't just anybody, innocent people they were going after, Matt. They were going after conservative patriots. And
Yes.
we know this.
They were.
Yes.
Yep.
We know this.
Yes.
Conservative patriots were the biggest threat to the deep state. And that's why they did what they did.
Same reason they absolutely went in and raided Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago.
Correct.
Can you
Yep.
even imagine a president, a former, now current president, but at the time, a president getting his home raided? What in the world?
Right.
I mean, that is just like above and beyond. Like, I can't even fathom. This is why I'm so glad too that Trump is in office, because he's going to start exposing all this stuff.
Yep.
That's right.
There's going to be more exposed than just the JFK, RFK, and MLK files. I mean, Epstein, we know that's coming.
Right.
9/11, we know that's coming. I cannot wait for the 9/11
Please bring
one.
out 9/11. That
Yes,
needs to
I
be
cannot
revisited.
wait. So this is the kind of stuff that it's patriots, but it goes back to Trump's old classic statement. It's not you they're after me. Or actually, he said, I'm sorry, they're after you. I'm just standing in the way.
Yeah.
That's
Yep,
what he said.
That's right.
Mhm.
So, of course, you just completely nailed it on the head with the patriot thing. They're after patriots. And it starts with us, we the people, that are also backing Trump, but they know that Trump is standing in the way. If they can try to remove the head of the snake, as the old saying, and go after Trump, then what are we the people going to do? Well, that's where we woke up the last 4 years in America and said, no, enough of this nonsense.
That's
Yes,
right.
and not just and I want to also bring a line of delineation because we have to do some reverse social engineering real bad. There's a lot of people that have been socially engineered
Yes.
to think exactly what the left wanted them to think.
That's a good point.
And so now we don't think twice or bat an eye about seeing a guillotine out there. We're just like, oh yeah, well, and it's like that. No, that needs to be addressed, and
does.
there needs to be consequences for sure.
It's treason.
Exactly.
So there's going to have to be some reverse social engineering that needs to be done to get people's minds back into alignment, not
Yep,
just with
yep.
law and order, but with the alignment with God's righteousness.
Yep.
And I'm bringing this up because there is another group that woke up, that was awakened during this time, and that was the church. And not just saying church, but houses of prayer. There's a difference. Houses of prayer are representatives before the courts of heaven and the kingdom of God that represent a nation like America. These houses of prayer, like Lord of Hosts Church, step into our authority. We know how to engage the Spirit through prayer, through
Right.
intercession. And I believe what this showed, and I'm encouraged, is by taking our rightful spiritual seat of authority that has been given to us through Jesus, we as believers, we as Christians are the ones that set the standard for society. We set the legislative bar. We are the ones that put people in positions through prayer. That is something we cannot forget as we continue on.
Yes.
We think it's the election. No, that's just the coming to agreement in the natural. But we all know that everything gets done in the spirit first.
Right.
Yes.
And because there were houses of prayer that got it, that understood that, I believe that's why we're seeing Trump, who is standing not just as president, but standing alive.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I think
I
just
agree.
getting back to
Yeah.
the basics of understanding, hey, what is our motto in this country? One nation under God.
Under
That's right.
God.
We've got to unify under the Lord and in prayer. And that right there says it all.
Yes.
Well, and getting back to our foundation, because that's a good point. When you look at history and you go back to even when we were creating the Constitution, when they were in the Constitutional Convention, one of the things that one of the founders that was in the room said, he's like, we got to pause. We got to take time out here. He said, we have got to start every single meeting of our Constitutional Convention with prayer.
Wow.
Because what we are doing is too big for us to get it wrong. And we can't get it right without the help of God.
My goodness.
And so that was a Terry paraphrase, but essentially he was saying, but he did say that we needed to start with prayer because of how big and monumental
Yes.
the project that they were working on. We've got to get back to that understanding of we can't do this without God.
Yeah.
We need his guidance. We need
Yeah.
that wisdom because otherwise we're going to get off and we're going to get it wrong.
Yeah. And I know there's been this huge talk about America first, but I'm just going to propose that, like Teresa was saying about the God age, this is about God first.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is about what are God's dreams? What are his desires? It is our job now to ensure his dreams and desires for America
Right.
are established so the golden age can.
You got to have the God
actually
age to set up the golden age.
Yes.
We don't need to
Yes,
make
there
golden
is.
calves and try to have a golden age.
Say
you know?
that, man.
I've always said that statement. man.
Yes.
Like you can't be a golden calf maker, you know? You just can't. Don't join those ideologies and those trends. And you know, it goes back to one of our old episodes, Anthony, about truth over trends, man.
100%.
It just is. And you know, and I truly believe that. You know, something else going back to January 6th, I had heard something, you guys might know about this too, but there was a lady that like refused her pardon as well.
Yes.
That legitimately, and I think this is legit because she wants her attorneys to just prove like I was innocent. I'm not guilty of this.
Correct.
Because a pardon is basically like, hey, you're pardoned for something that, you know, you did. She wants to prove I did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
She wants the full
She
due
wants
process.
the full
Yes.
like due process. Yes. Yeah. You guys do have that? Yeah. Throw this up. Yeah. Check this out.
Yes.
One of you guys, you can go ahead and read this. This is awesome.
And it says Trump pardoned her for storming the Capitol. Absolutely not, she said. And I can't read that bottom part. I'm
It's
sorry. That's-
Hemphill.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, it's her name. Okay. She's
Patricia,
71.
is it Patricia Hemphill, 71
Or Pamela?
of Boise,
Pamela.
Pamela of Boise, Idaho, who served 60 days in prison, said it would be an insult to the Capitol Police if she accepted the pension. That is amazing.
There's going to be several of them I've heard that are not going to accept the pardon for that exact reason, because essentially you're admitting that you did something wrong. And a
Yeah.
lot of them are like, absolutely not. We are going to take this all the way to the Supreme Court if we have to,
Yes.
to prove the wrong that was done to us.
Yes.
So that it never happens again. Because if they
Amen.
just
Yes.
accepted all these pardons, that means it could then happen again, because now we've set a precedent.
Yes.
Because all of those cases have gone through. So
Yes.
by them saying, no, we're not going to accept the pardon, they can now then challenge it so that we can set a precedent that this is not okay.
Wow.
This cannot
Wow.
happen again. What happened with those people at January 6th, we can't let that happen in our future again. And so
That's
I've been
so good.
hearing a lot of people say
Good.
that there's going to be some that aren't going to accept it.
Terry, you should talk about, speaking of challenging, can you talk about this whole executive order about the two genders and what President Trump did with his language?
Yes.
This is, folks,
This is cool.
this is so big and no one's talking about it because they're so caught up on the, wait, there aren't 72 genders. That's correct. There's just 2. But their language and the way this executive order is written, once people start to dig into this, we are going to see an all-out, I think people are going to kind of freak out, but it's setting the precedent of something that we probably thought we'd never see, but it's about to happen.
Yeah, I found this executive order. I had to go pull it up here. And it essentially talks about, so it's the one where President Trump talked about this in his inauguration, and then he signed the executive order saying that the official policy of the United States government was going to be that there are only 2 genders. Oh, they just put it up. So
Nice.
if you scroll down, because everyone's stuck on the whole fact that it's like, oh, it's just 2 genders, like
Yeah.
that he named
Yeah.
that. If you scroll down and actually look at the policy in section 2, it talks about, one, that sex is something that can't be changed. Like,
Yep.
whew, way to go there. And then in the definitions of female and male, he says female means a person belonging, comma, at conception, comma, to the sex that produces the large
Wow.
reproductive cells. And then he does the same thing for male. They add at conception. So in this executive order, not only did they establish that there are only 2 sexes that cannot be changed, that you are defined as a person at conception.
Oh boy.
That is huge. That is pro-life language like we have never seen before in this country. Because
Yeah.
essentially that opens the door now so where we can put into law that life begins at conception. And actually, if you scroll down further in that
There's a
that was just a
comment.
screenshot that they put up, but if you go onto the website and scroll further down at the end, I believe it's like section D,
Yeah.
he talks about the fact that he wants in 30 days a proposed bill on his
Wow.
desk to codify this and to put that into law,
Yes.
into legislation.
Oh
Yeah.
my
So I'm like,
gosh.
he slipped in. Everyone's stuck on the whole, oh, he's talking about genders. He's talking about,
No,
trans.
he's not.
No,
Which is why
he's
that
going after
bishop is going
pro-life.
after him too. Like with the whole church service, the
We're good.
disastrous
Oh my
church
gosh.
service. I mean, yeah, I got a comment again. Earl goes, the trans people are already flipping out.
Because they know.
Well, maybe they'll flip
they
back.
know.
Yeah. So yeah, right. Maybe they'll flip out. Yeah.
It'll be good for everybody.
I mean, yeah, that church service was wild.
That was
It was the
ridiculous.
worst. I mean, just terrible.
That's-
Like, I'm asking you for mercy.
That's why I designated between churches and houses of prayer. There's
yeah.
a difference.
There's a huge
There's
difference.
a huge difference.
So she was quoted today too. I was reading. Sorry, I didn't actually get
She
this.
spoke
to you
out
guys.
again.
She spoke out again because they went to interview because Trump's been
saw-
talking about
She
her.
was on CNN the other night. I did see that. Like there was some interview she did. I forget the show now off the top of my head, but yeah, she's been taking interviews
Yes.
now.
I hate that she's getting
Yes.
publicity. That was probably the whole
That's why
point.
she did it.
Yeah.
That's why she did it.
She
And
knew she was
Yeah.
going to get clout for this.
she was
Yeah.
quoted as saying, she was like, our church isn't very large, but we do have what I would call a very generous view of God and a view of human beings.
What does that even
What?
mean?
What is that?
What is that? Okay, so clearly
Can
they
you
don't
read that one
they
more
don't
time?
bring any Bibles with them. To
She was
church.
like, our church is not a large church, but we do have a what I would call a very generous view of God and a view of human beings.
what does that even mean?
What does that
So
mean?
that sounds like that one pastor that we played on here one time that goes, God is gay, God is trans, God
Yes,
is Asian,
exactly.
God is African American, God is Caucasian, God is this, God is that. It's like everything. And it's like pretty much justifying that you can be a Christian and be gay all at the same time. And it's like, I feel like she's saying, like, you said she views God as a generous, what was it?
Generous.
She said, we view that we have a very generous
Generous
view
view.
of God and a view of human beings.
I feel like it's kind of the same conundrum of what I just said
Oh
with
my
that other
gosh.
pastor that said
Yeah.
all that. I mean, yeah, it just JD Vance's face was the coolest thing I've ever seen though. Like when he was sitting in there, like it was the most comical. Like he looked over at his wife at Usha and was just like, "Are you
Yes.
serious right now?" Like
My head hurts because God clearly has a generous amount of mercy and compassion because he created you, gave you a brain, and then allowed you to have those thoughts at the same time.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my
That
god.
whole free will part.
You
yeah,
have the audacity to say that you have a generous view of God when God is the one who is the reason why you even have a point of view to begin with.
yes,
It is just confounding that we can be that brazen, like you said, with our words.
Yeah.
Like it's not just about, openly talking about how people want to do terrible things to President Trump, but it's
Yep.
the crazy,
I know.
just talking so, we call it out of pocket, just talking so out of pocket with the one who has created you
I know.
and gave you the ability to have those ridiculous thoughts.
I know.
I think these statements
What
by the
are we
bishop
doing?
are having it's pernicious is what it is. It's having a
That's a good one.
terrible effect on the Americans and people who are misled. I'm praying against that people are just not misled
Right.
Mm.
in this
Good.
time because
Yes.
that's not
Amen.
helping. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of Americans that are just like, okay, you're full of garbage, and we're just going to say it like this. The Patriots are saying that,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Trump supporters are saying that, but there's these, people that ride the fence, and I just don't want them getting misled with this garbage. Like,
Yeah.
that's where I'm glad this whole DEI thing is, getting shut down once and for all. Like it needs to, like the inclusiveness, like, and one of our producers, even Jacob, he was texting me and he goes, January 6th was diverse,
Actually diverse.
Yeah, like
Oh, yeah.
actually diverse. Yeah, explain that. So
So the left is always trying to do diversity as like everybody might look a little bit different, but we all think the same. January 6th was actually diverse. You had all ages.
Oh,
all
that's so
sexes,
true.
People from different religions, all there unified, being arrested by the time.
So there you have it.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
their
so true.
diversity is arresting everyone that thinks differently.
Yeah.
That's the diversity.
Talk about full circle,
Ooh,
man.
yeah.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
you know, it just there. And we've also got to talk about this. You know, a lot of people weren't talking about actually that President Trump and Melania's anniversary was this week too. 20
brought
years.
that up.
Yes,
20
yes,
years.
Yes.
20 years.
Man,
The timing of this is awesome. And then January 20th was the inauguration.
Oh,
and
there
then
is.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, was it Wednesday? Can somebody fact check that? Was it Wednesday? I believe Wednesday was the 20. It was either Tuesday or Wednesday was the 20-year. I could probably look it up. Yeah.
Anyone notice that number 20 has been popping up a lot?
Yeah.
So 20 years. You said someone just said something else about
January 22nd.
January 20th was the inauguration. So the 20th was the
Yeah.
inauguration.
Wednesday then. It was
So that would've
22nd.
22nd was
Wednesday.
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 Yeah.
So like 20 years. January 20th was his inauguration.
Ooh.
20 years of this prophetic narrative playing
Mhm.
out from 2004 to 2024.
From my dad.
From
Yeah.
your dad.
Yeah.
And well, it's interesting because the number 20 represents in the Bible expectancy, but also it's the divine order of like prophetic fulfillment. Number 20.
Yeah.
And what's also interesting is we can talk about this in another one, but I don't want to get too crazy with it.
Yeah.
But King Solomon, it took him 20 years to build the temple. 20.
Yeah.
There's number 20 keeps
Yeah.
popping up. And if you notice, once King Solomon built the temple, did what his dad asked, Israel went into like this, was it 40 years of just like prosperity, where they said that silver was considered worthless because it was so plenteous. Yeah. So it's interesting. This number 20 is like everywhere right now. And we know in the Bible, God will use things over and over and over to prove, hey, this is getting ready to happen. And there's a parallel. I believe just like King Solomon, the King Solomon era of Israel, we're getting ready to see that level of prosperity and peace.
So good.
Over the United States. But it's interesting. This number 20 is popping up everywhere.
So good. Yeah.
And in the same week.
In the same week.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, I'm just blown. Oh, I want to shout out to Jackie and Curtis because they made a comment about Trudeau. We didn't get a chance to talk about this, but
yeah,
the fact that Trudeau stepped down right before Trump was inaugurated he knew, but we looked this up. So everyone knows that President Jimmy Carter died. Well, supposedly he died. He died on December 29th. There's rumors that he actually died a year before that, and they're just resurfacing this. I don't know how true this is. Yeah. But we'll just go off of December 29th.
Right.
2024 is that he died. The same day there was an earthquake near Montreal in Ottawa. So the capital of Canada. And so we were like, okay, that's weird because there was a prophecy that said a former president would die in the same day the earth would shake. So this happened. We're like, all right, what does this even mean? So we did some digging on Jimmy Carter. We come to find out Jimmy Carter was good friends with a Pierre Trudeau, Elliott Pierre Trudeau.
Wow.
Who was Justin Trudeau's father.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you have this earthquake on the same day that Jimmy Carter dies, December 29th. A week later, Justin Trudeau steps down.
Right.
With the connection being Jimmy Carter, Pierre Trudeau were good friends. They were also there. Pierre Trudeau was there. He was present while Jimmy Carter gave away the Panama Canal.
Well, he helped encourage it too.
Oh, he encouraged it. Okay.
Yeah, he helped encourage it.
And they say that Pierre Trudeau was the guy, and Jackie and Curtis and whoever else lives in Canada, you guys can, fact check this, was the one who kind of laid the foundation for the socialist track that Canada is now on. So I find it interesting. You have a president die representing a former era. There's an earthquake in the capital of Canada, which, by the way, was also right by the area where they buried Pierre Trudeau. And then a
Oof.
week later, Justin Trudeau steps down.
Yeah.
It's very interesting what could be happening with Canada next, because I heard
Right.
that over 75% of Canada is asking for snap elections.
Right.
So an immediate federal election where apparently there's a conservative who is in the front running to be the next prime minister.
Wow.
Finally.
Well,
So
they want to
Canada,
avoid
you're-
those tariffs.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
not good for anybody. But hey, Canada, all this to say, Canada, you're next. You're
That's
next.
right. That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
lot's
there's a lot
happening.
we've kind of dived into today, but I mean, how can we not with all that's going on?
So
It's just
much.
amazing. But no, we need to do these little live chats more often. I think
Absolutely.
that, this is something that we're going to get into more, especially now with this new set and everything that we kind
Love
of
it,
have.
man.
Yeah. Would you say you like the backrest or whatever?
The backrest, and I always felt like I was gonna fall off on the high chairs.
The other chairs.
I'm just being honest. There was times I would just like find myself trying to catching myself, but the camera would be on you, so no one would actually see that I was struggling in the high chair.
Yeah, so play it off on me, make me have to not react. Yeah, I was on camera sitting here like holding back a laugh as he's like, I'm falling. Yeah, one of those things. But I really am just glad of what God is doing, in this country, and obviously
Amen.
other countries, and how he's anointed President Trump for this time. And so I think the biggest thing though to take away is, the prayer doesn't stop. We've got to
Amen.
keep doing that.
Yes.
And we've really got to undergird the arms of, President Trump right now. The fight doesn't just stop because he's in office.
That's right.
There will always be other enemies, other giants to slay, other people that are going to try, their hand and try to be evil. And, while the left might be freaking out right now and scared and they don't know what to do, you can't tell me they won't come up with some sort of evil agenda or plan to try to ruin everything. It's just, there's always other enemies. It's like you watch one of those old like Westerns or, war movies, or, one of my favorite movies even growing up. Like, I liked watching like Zorro. That was my like, hero guy when I was young. I liked Zorro, the swordsman guy. And at one of the end of the movies, it talks about like, just so you know, there'll be other enemies. There'll be other people that will try to take your freedoms away. There'll be other people, because that's what Zorro did. He went and helped the people. And it's like, there will be other people that will try to put weird ideologies out there, weird narratives. They will try to, do what they can to corrupt, what God is trying to do and what President Trump's trying to do in this nation. And there's, people that, just like we didn't as patriots conform to what the left was doing. There's people on the left that won't conform to what, God and what Trump and this nation is headed towards. And so we still have to pray against that. We have to bind that up. We have to fight against that. Doesn't mean we go out and burn buildings and businesses like they did. But we fight through prayer. We fight with our voice, and we fight with speaking truth.
Yes,
and it's that simple. We fight in the business world. We fight with using, like you said earlier, our brains. If you have any sort of brain, it's time to use it.
It is.
Yeah.
This is the time.
This
for
is
sure.
This is a golden opportunity.
Hey, there it is.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, we've got their
Yes.
attention. The people have gotten President Trump's attention. The Congress is ready to act. Like, this is our time. This is our time to make sure that our voices, that we stay in there. We keep reaching out to our senators, keep reaching out to your elected officials, because they're ready to listen and they're ready to act. We've got an opportunity here, and let's not squander it. We got to take advantage of it, because we kind of squandered it a little bit the first term around.
We did. We took a lot for granted. And, I just want to just kind of echo what you guys have already said. The other thing that I think we want to also make sure we're operating in is, and Matt and I have talked about this a lot, but compassion and mercy.
Yeah. That's good.
It says
huge.
God is a God of compassion and mercy, loving kindness, and truth. So truth is going to be exposed, but just as believers, as Christians, there are going to be people that are going to be searching. because in all intents and purposes, their worldview has been completely shattered.
Yes.
And it will be as more truth is exposed. So it is up to
Yes.
us as believers to welcome people, pray for them, even those that persecuted you, right? Even those that spoke against you, even those that slandered you or maybe wanted nothing to do with you. This might be your opportunity to where you have a chance now to love on them, to pray for them, to pray for God now to sow a seed for their deliverance and their salvation.
Yeah.
Because it is the compassion and mercy of God that leads to deliverance. And I
Yeah.
believe we're going to see a lot of deliverance
Amen.
and salvation in this season.
Amen. Well, we want to thank everyone for joining us today. It's been awesome. And, you know, we've got so much more of this coming up, and so much more that, you know, we want to be a part of with you guys. We want you guys to get involved in. Please remember to, if you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe. Share this broadcast, no matter what platform you like to watch from. It could be YouTube, it could be Facebook, it could be the websites, whatever. Please, you know, text the link to somebody or share it on your page, because we want to get truth out. You know, it's not just about, you know, our platform. It's really about, like, we know that we're speaking truth, and there's people that are being misled that need some sort of truth on their newsfeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're
And
right.
their
That's good.
timelines. There's people that
It's really good.
need truth sent to their iPhone or Android. Like, please send this to somebody that you know and say, hey, I was watching this broadcast today. You know, so that's why we want to encourage you, so you don't miss when we go live. Please like our Facebook pages, subscribe, and check us out too. On Instagram, you can follow us at PrimeTime GameChangers. Want to remind everybody too, next week we've got a doozy at Lord of Hosts Church. We've got Wednesday night, Pastor Gene's going to be here preaching, and then next Thursday and Friday as well, Flashpoint Live is here.
Yes.
And we've got an incredible lineup that includes Lance Wallnow, Pastor Tony Soares, my dad, Pastor Gene. Help me
Rick
out.
Green.
Rick Green's going to be here too. Yep. So
over 1,000 people registered.
over 1,000 people registered. So yeah, make sure you get registered and come to that Flashpoint Live. The first Flashpoint Live of 2025 is at Lord of Hosts Church here in Omaha, Nebraska. So I want to encourage people to get here. You know, like I said, the fight continues.
Yes.
We're just continuing to undergird the vision that God has, but also, you know, what he's put on President Trump. And so we've got to continue to speak out, continue to fight, change the game wherever we're at. And you do that by using your voice. So we're going to remind you guys, like, comment, subscribe, share, definitely share the broadcast. And, you know, I'm sure there's people who enjoy YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, but we want to connect with you guys. And that's another reason. Get here to Flashpoint Live. We would love to shake your hand, meet you guys. NRB in Dallas at the end of February, the 24th or the 27th. We're going to be down there. So want to encourage everybody to just keep partnering with us. Keep sharing the truth, because that is ultimately what wins. I love that, you know, Trump did Truth Social, because we need truth right now. So another reason to share this with your fellow partners and friends and people that you know in your everyday circle or work with, your family. Get this in their pocket, their news feed, their phones, because we are changing the game, and we're changing it by bringing truth to America and truth back in this nation and back to, you know, even other countries that need truth as well. We are opening up the floodgates of heaven to change the game that's been going on for far too long. That's the goal here, to change the game wherever you're at. We love each and every one of you. We call you blessed and favored today, and we'll see you soon next time. Bye-bye.